Hi, this is Dr. Mark Hirsch, author of the Alice White Investigator series, set in 1950s New York City, where I grew up. And I just wanted to say more than just the website you can get her books on. And that is that this series is close to my heart because I was just a young kid at that time. I used to ride my bicycle down the Grand Concourse in the Bronx to Yankee Stadium for night games. I think I was about 8 years old in 1953. And this series starts about 1955. It's based on a reminiscence I have of my older sister and I out on the fire escape to get out of the insane heat of the apartment we lived in. We started out in a one-bedroom apartment, which meant that my sister and I slept on the floor in the living room. And we were close. She was older than me, and she was up against post-World War II employment issues. And my mother was also. They both were extremely intelligent and able in their fields. And my sister was involved in computers that would take up entire floors of an office building. And she was a master of troubleshooting them. She'd be hired for a period of time and then fired with her pre-agreement to move on to another company. And my mother had a similar situation where she would set up the books for a new business and work with them for about a year and then move on as well. And they both had children and raised families and were able to do all that. And that's kind of one of the characteristics of the main character of my books, Alice White. She's kind of modeled after my sister. When I started writing that first book, I pictured my sister on the fire escape, and so I made Alice White sit out there with a glass of whiskey in one hand and a cigarette in the other. And she was obviously quite traumatized, but in her trauma, she smelled the food coming up from the Italian neighborhood that we lived just above on a hill, and she heard dogs yapping and kids screaming because it was a Friday night, and I sort of worked it backwards and created a trauma that she was getting over, and that was really the first or second scene of the whole story. Anyway, that was called The Case. Then I wrote Hard Case, which was more a story of my father's upbringing in Hell's Kitchen, Irish Catholic neighborhood. And after that, it was The Con Case, which was about a gang of con artists in New York City. And finally, the last book was The Case of the Butcher, the Bank Robber, and the Blonde, about a ex-Marine who had always wanted to be a butcher. And he survived Iwo Jima, one of the bloodiest battles in the Pacific, and opened a butcher shop and raised his son single-handedly because his wife had died in childbirth. So he had a 15-year-old son who did not know how to defend himself on the streets of New York and was overweight and not interested in leaving the apartment for fear of being beaten up. Very similar to myself as a young guy. but people seem to love this series, and they are writing some really nice reviews. I just enjoy the heck out of entertaining people, similar to cooking, making people excited to taste something I created. So try it out. The bookstore is at www.marchirsch.com, MARCHIRSCH, and leave reviews on the page or on Amazon. And if it wasn't for me marketing my own books directly to the public, as opposed to having Amazon hold them and people buy them by word of mouth, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have known that I ever got a single 5-star review. But when I started marketing, one of the first places I went was to recheck my books on Amazon, and I could see that I had gotten a fair number of 5-star reviews, and I was even more excited to market them. So have a great day. Take care.